Artificial intelligence is created to make our lives easier, but it's coming at an environmental cost.
Dr. Waleed Saad is a professor at Virginia Tech, looking to change that by making AI more sustainable. Joining us now. Thank you so much for being with us, Doctor. And, before we get into solutions, can you tell us what the problem is with AI and what makes it so bad for the planet?
Yes. So hello, Stephanie. Hello, Jordan. Thank you for having me on the show. So essentially, as you know, AI is largely built based on algorithms, right? And those algorithms need to, quote unquote, feed on data. And to feed them on data, you have, multiple or at least two steps that we can think of in AI. The first one is what we call the training, which is when the AI algorithm learns how to actually analyze the data. And the second is inference, where it actually is used to do the predictions it does. And it turns out that both phases require significant computational resources, like on cloud or data centers. And those resources pull out electricity. And you need also water to actually, cool down these data centers and to generate the electricity. So all of that has a big carbon footprint that comes into the picture when looking at AI.
Now, you're working on a concept called green federated learning. What in the world does that mean, and why is this a possible solution to AI's energy problem?
Sure. So first, federated learning is the idea that instead of relying so much on these data center, how about we spread the wealth, so to speak? So we can use different computing devices around us, right? So we can use a smartphone next to me and so on, without having to rely so much on this data center. So that, at least in theory, makes sense, and it actually helps reduce the burden on these high electricity consuming centers. But the problem with federated learning is that it also involves communication now, right? You have to send this information over a 5G network or a communication network. So what we're trying to do is to kind of design both the communication network to use less energy, as well as making these algorithms work on these small devices so that they can actually be less energy consuming and less computational burden there. So they would need less computational burden so they could run on your everyday smartphone and so on. And that could potentially help reduce the computational load and hence the electricity and the additional carbon footprint impact.
So as AI learns, could it be the answer to our question of how to figure out how to fight this climate crisis?
Well, yes, that's really actually the dilemma here. There's a lot of solutions that you can use AI to, in fact, help solve the climate crisis, solve many of the problems, right? So we can, in fact, use AI to better manage the water resources. But at the same time, AI uses water, right? So you can see this kind of like how to balance that trade-off. How do we actually make sure that the AI algorithm works the way it's supposed to work, while also reducing its carbon footprint? So there's a lot of solutions that can use AI. As I mentioned, you can use it for water resource management, for predicting pollutants, and then designing solutions for even understanding better how your entire environment in a city or a campus is evolving, and then kind of intervene when needed in some sense. Of course, weather prediction is one aspect as well. But
now we should ask you real quick, because what was it? A couple weeks ago, we used ChatGPT to write a script for us, and we talked about this, and it almost kind of misled us in a way on how much energy it takes for it to produce. It said
it told us
as much as leaving the light bulb on.
Right.
So does it mislead on purpose?
It's not on purpose, but keep in mind that ChatGPT and similar algorithms, they're still not really as intelligent as a dog, not to mention human, right? So they are trained on certain data sets. And from that data, they can actually come up with these answers. So potentially they may lack the data that actually quantifies the real impact on energy. So it's not really a misleading thing.
Okay.
It's more like hallucinating.
I just didn't know if it didn't want us to know the answer, so it
right,
wouldn't shut it down.
Right, or just want to make itself look better, right? Like we all present.
Right.
Oh, no. Now, AI becomes more energy efficient. Until it does, what do our users need to know? Is there anything that we can do to help it make more efficient? Maybe use it during the nighttime hours when not as much energy is being used or something like that?
So yeah, as users, first thing we can do is actually understand, this impact and try to advocate for policies and guidelines for sustainable AI that, as a nation, we can look at. And this idea that you mentioned is what we call demand side management, which was more or less effective when it comes to electricity management, and we've used it. I mean, many utility companies have used it before. It could potentially work for AI, right? So, we can automatically decide when to train an AI algorithm or where to train it. So one aspect that the users can help is the ability to share your computing resources, as I mentioned before, and that would help us use less of the more consuming data centers.
Well, that'd be cool. That's a good idea. Dr. Waleed Saad, professor at Virginia Tech's Bradley Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering. Thank you so much for joining us today. And Jordan, you made me laugh because, like, when you go on a first date, you send your representative, if you will, people say.
Yeah.
So it's the first time we used ChatGPT. I wonder if it was sending us its representative, like, I only use a light bulb.
Right. This is just weird that we have this now.
I know.
For more stories like this, make sure you guys check out Pattern on our streaming channels.